Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. My name is Charlie Williams, Rear Admiral, United States Navy, retired, and I have the pleasure of serving as the Chief Operating and Programs Officer at Armed Services YMCA. I want to welcome you to the 18th Annual Angels of the Battlefield Awards press event. It's wonderful to see all of you in person here today and to know that so many others are watching via live stream. I'd like to introduce the President and CEO of Armed Services YMCA, Vice Admiral Bill French, for some introductory remarks.
Thanks, Charlie. Thank you all for being here. It's a gorgeous day, and thanks to AUSA. Where's General Brown? General Brown, thanks so much for hosting this and allowing all of us service members who may not be in the Army to benefit from being in this great place. As Charlie said, for the last 18 years, we have done a ceremony recognizing the Angels of the Battlefield. And I think for those of you who haven't seen this event before, you'll walk away with great appreciation of what these young men and women have done to protect and support their fellow service members. So why do we do this event? This organization was established in November 15th of 1861. We're the oldest continuously serving military support organization in the country. And back then, we had only volunteers, and these volunteers went out on the battlefields during the Civil War and provided support to those injured soldiers. They were referred to as Angels of the Battlefield, and they're in the name of this event. They also, when they weren't on the battlefield, would come off and support these warriors different ways. They taught them how to read in some cases. They provided coffee. They provided other things. So fast forward to today, we at the Armed Services YMCA do not go on battlefields. We leave that to the professionals, many of which are in this room. But we do a lot of the things that those initial volunteers performed off the battlefield. So we provide support both to military members and their families. By the end of this year, we project we will support 300,000 military members, spouses, or kids. And we do that through 13 branches, 25 YMCA affiliates to support almost now 100 different installations across the country, to include those in Alaska and in Hawaii. The majority of the service families that we support are from the junior enlisted ranks. That's pay grades E5 and below. And I will tell you, there's many things we do, but I think the things that make the biggest difference in the lives of those young men and women and their families is childcare, all types of childcare, from drop-off care to before and after school care to full-day childcare, youth development programs, and the last one that I would like to get out of the business, but it's responding to food insecurity. We still have a food insecurity issue amongst our service members. Some statistics say as high as 25% of those junior enlisted have challenges addressing food insecurity. So we're here for them, and we distribute millions of pounds of food a year to support them. So none of this would be possible without a few different things. One is our partners at the Department of Defense and all the leaders of all the services. Tireless efforts by many passionate volunteers and staff, and the unwavering support and generosity of our donors. I mentioned most all the donors earlier, but two in particular I want to recognize. One is American Airlines, that's our platinum sponsor. American Airlines is here now. How about a round of applause for American Airlines? Thank you very much. And then, of course, our venue host, our venue sponsor, AUSA, who's provided this great facility. General Brown, thank you and your team. Now, most importantly, my most important job is to introduce my boss, the chairman of the Armed Services YMCA, the CEO of the AUSA, an all-around wonderful man, General Bob Brown.
Thanks. Well, flattery will get you everywhere, Bill, no doubt about that. We love the Navy. He keeps insinuating that the Army doesn't like, we're an amazing team. It's an incredible team. There's one day of the year we don't like the Navy, though. But it's going to be a heck of a game this year, both undefeated. And who knows what's going to happen. But other than that, we love the Navy, for sure. No, I heard that go Navy there. I'm sorry. No. Beat Navy is what you're supposed to say. Yeah. So anyway, so on behalf of the National Board of Directors, I just want to welcome you and express my congratulations to this year's amazing stories and this year's recipients. Congratulations. I'll tell you, it makes us all proud, just unbelievable. And I'm so glad you're being recognized, no doubt about it. We, as Bill mentioned, host this annual event to pay tribute to the amazing brothers and sisters in arms who perform at the highest levels and do so much for our military. I can tell you, when you're in harm's way, the reason you go out is because you're going to get the best medical care and you're going to be taken care of. And that's a reason we wouldn't do it otherwise. So it's absolutely critical. And anyone who's ever been fortunate enough to wear the uniform and serve the United States military knows just how important all these folks are, how critical it is, and the reason we do what we do, no doubt about it. And they often are, first on the scene, chaotic scenes, often, average person would panic in a situation like that, but they don't. They are highly trained and they respond in risky, tough situations. And quite honestly, what they do is save lives. So we can go home to our families, and we're just grateful for that, no doubt about it. So please enjoy today's award ceremony. And again, it's so incredible that the Armed Services YMCA, all of us on the board, and by the way, the board members, you raise your hand there, board members. All right, look at, thank you, great support. All volunteers that do it, because we have seen all that Armed Services YMCA does. It's amazing, and how they help our families. There's soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marine, Coast Guardsmen, Guardians, what they do, and our great civilians, military civilians. I was going to say DA civilians, but it's more than part of the Army civilians. It's all our great civilians out there that help in the military. So today, again, just rest assured, the great team out there, Armed Services YMCA, will have your back, and they're there to take care of our young men and women and their families in so many ways in all they do. So just very proud to support and very proud of all that they do. So again, congratulations to the recipients, and look forward to a great award ceremony where we can recognize them here today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, General Brown. We hold, as has been said, we hold the Angels of the Battlefield Awards every year in order to recognize the bravest people among us, the men and women who don't flinch when they hear medic up or the sound of a distress call. They often run towards danger and put themselves in harm's way, and they often find themselves in those very difficult and daunting situations. But they still come every single time. That's why we honor civilian and military first responders. We have immense admiration for this year's cadre of honorees. They serve in many capacities, and they take on significant responsibilities in their day-to-day lives to support both military and civilian members here at home and abroad. These awards specifically recognize the courage, the quick action, and the selfless nature of these first responders, the medics, corpsmen, airmen, Coast Guardsmen, and paramedics. Since 2006, Armed Services YMCA has recognized 81 Angels of the Battlefield, and we add 6 more to that cadre here today, now to present this year's honorees. General Brown and Admiral French will assist our esteemed presenters from each branch of service in handing out this year's Angel of the Battlefield Awards. We will present the awards in the order of creation of the branch of service as recognized by the Department of Defense. So we begin with the United States Army. To shine light on the award-worthy efforts of their honoree and present the Army Angel of the Battlefield Award, we are joined today by Lieutenant General Mary Izagiri, United States Army Surgeon General and Commanding General, U.S. Army Medical Command.
Well, thank you very much. And I will, I know General George would want to make sure I mention that as the oldest branch, we look forward to celebrating our 250th this coming year, and invite you all to the birthday party. So good morning. What a privilege to be here today and to celebrate these angels of the battlefield. And to the Armed Forces YMCA, thank you for providing such a fantastic venue. I had the opportunity to be part of this ceremony in Hawaii, and it's wonderful to see it continued over here on this side. So I want to introduce to you our honoree, Sergeant First Class Tyler Twigg. Today we recognize his heroism, his volunteerism, his willingness to help when it wasn't his job. He wasn't on duty when this event occurred. It was actually February of this year, and Sergeant First Class Twigg's duties as the Martin Army Community Hospital's Operations and Training NCO led him to the Central Issue Facility. So he was out doing the good work, getting the equipment he needed, and really just there to be a customer. But while he was waiting, being the medic that he is, he noticed some panic going on amongst the employees, and they were told that a fellow employee in the back was choking. He immediately went back to assess the situation and see where he could provide help. And sure enough, there was a gentleman back there who was choking, clearly in distress, and right away he sprung into action, began working on the patient as well as saying, hey, call 911, exactly according to our training. And this wasn't resolved immediately. It took about 5 minutes where he cleared the gentleman's airway, but then the gentleman still had an obstruction. And Sergeant First Class Twigg stayed with him, moved on the next set of maneuvers, and continued to work with the patient until until help arrived. They took him in, got him stabilized, and so he saved this gentleman's life. Had he not been here, I hate to think what would have happened. But in this event, his training really sprung into action. And I think that's where I got to talk to Sergeant First Class Twigg a little bit today. And he, like many of us, joined the Army in order to have that sense of purpose, that sense of having a life of consequence. And I think we can see that he did that. Now, like most Army leaders, he didn't do this alone. He is grateful for the support of his wife, Ashley. He's a very committed husband and father to their 3 children, Merrick, Amari, and Irie, excuse me. And so I am so excited to see where he will go next. He's been in the Army for 12 years already, had experiences deploying to Afghanistan and Romania, and says he just really wants to be able to make a difference as a medic and help others. So it is my extreme honor and pleasure to be here to recognize Sergeant First Class Twigg today.
She made that sound way better than I would have. So, no, I'm gonna keep it short and sweet. Just wanted to thank the Armed Services YMCA, my leadership for taking the time out to come support me, and as well as my wife. She got in 12:30 last night to be here to support me. So, thank you.
Thank you very much, General Izagiri, and congratulations to Sergeant First Class Twigg. Now we move on to the United States Marine Corps to recognize and present the Marine Corps Angel of the Battlefield Award to a Navy hospital corpsman. I'd like to welcome Major General Ryan Rideout, the Director for Manpower Management Division.
Hey, well, good morning. I think we'll all probably echo same thanks to the folks who put this on. This is really impressive. Quite frankly, before I got asked to do this, this was the first I'd ever heard of this. So impressive what you all do. I think this is an incredible honor to get up and see some incredible patriots and medical professionals be recognized. So on behalf of our Commandant, General Eric Smith, it's my pleasure today to recognize Petty Officer First Class Bobby R. Phillips, Jr., and I'm excited that his wife Megan could be here with us today as well to see this. HM1 Phillips is a Special Operations, or SOF, I'll probably say that a lot during this, medic and medical advisor serving with 3rd Marine Raider Battalion, Marine Forces Special Operations Command. They're based in Stone Bay, North Carolina. He's been serving our nation, I would say heroically, for a while now, 11 years. And this is, I'd say, first and foremost, thanks for what you do. On a 6-month deployment to the Indo-PACOM AOR, Philippines, we're not supposed to say, he provided training assistance to foreign partners and led a dedicated aid station for multiple units, totaling about 160 host nation special operations forces. He trained those host nation medics on tactical combat casualty care, or TCCC. In other words, he trained them in clinical encounters, advanced diagnostic techniques, and mass casualty management. And he played a pivotal role in improving a remote hospital by providing guidance on clinical and trauma treatment, organization, and equipment procurement. In total, he supervised and guided clinical care to over 100 patients in remote island communities and dedicated over 200 hours in training host nation SOF partners. And as it turns out, he was a pretty good instructor. In one instance, during an attack on the partner force that he was supporting, he and some of those same medics that he had trained effectively managed 3 urgent trauma cases caused by multiple gunshot and shrapnel wounds. The care that they provided at the point of injury there directly contributed to the survivability of those patients, who were then transferred and managed to the clinic where HM1 Phillips was working in that Rule 1 clinic. Not just there on the battlefield. On 2 separate occasions, HM1 Phillips received what we're calling pediatric patients. I say kids. One was a patient that had sustained traumatic injuries due to a motor vehicle accident. HM1 Phillips swiftly acted to stabilize the child, and then for 3 hours worked with host nation personnel directing pain management, supportive care, first aid, all while coordinating air medevac for that patient and their family to higher level care. In another instance, HM1 Phillips encountered a 2-month-old baby who was experiencing severe respiratory distress. Recognizing the urgency of the situation, he swiftly intervened with life-saving measures and then continued to monitor and direct essential care for nearly 2 hours until that patient was also air medevaced. He was regarded as the most sought-after medical provider in his remote area of operation, and he consistently delivered life-saving treatment and expertly advised ground force commanders on rapid air medical transport. His impact, I would say, both on the host nation military as well as the local community, set a very high standard of excellence. I've just finished it with, I think his commander summarized it best when he said, Petty Officer Phillips' talented application of SOF capabilities under challenging conditions is a testament to the legacy of battlefield medics. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my distinct honor to introduce Hospital Corpsman First Class Bobby R. Phillips, Jr.
Morning, everyone. Same, I'm going to try to keep this short and sweet. First, I want to say thank you to the Armed Services YMCA and everybody that contributed to putting together this event. It's an honor to be up here today receiving this award as the Marine Corps' nominee. I also want to congratulate all the other awardees today as well. And I want to say thank you to my command. Without their nomination, I would not be here today celebrating this with my wife, Megan, and getting to meet everyone here. So thank you.
It's a very well-deserved honor, Pastor Phillips, and I want to say thank you again to General Rideout. Our next recipient is another hospital corpsman. There's a little Navy theme there, sir. To present this award, I would ask Rear Admiral Robert Hawkins, the Chief of U.S. Navy Nurse Corps, to join me at the podium.
Well, good morning. And I'll echo the thanks for this wonderful event. And certainly, I'm very proud of all the recipients of the awards today. It's very impressive. I do want to introduce HN1. And before I talk more about him, you know, when I was looking at him, you'll notice on his uniform that he was wearing a Purple Heart. And what was funny about it to me as I was preparing for this talk, I had to find out about that award. And I think it speaks to the character of HM1 Hardebeck. He is selfless and courageous. And I'll talk a little bit about the event that HM1 got this award for, but it occurred to me that it's really a pattern of behavior. In the face of an enemy that knows no bounds. So his award, and many of you may remember it, I do, it was Christmas Day last year. And he was part of an EMU that was in Erbil. And since early October of last year, that area was under intermittent but frequent attack from the enemy. And on Christmas Day, no accident for our enemy to attack on that day. So he's there, and he does what he does. Immediately hops up, takes himself out of protective cover. He's in a roll 2 light maneuver capability, gets to the bay, takes off his protective gear so that there'll be room for the incoming patient. The patient comes in, obtunded, severe head injury. His immediate life-saving actions in the face of danger and under fire, because nobody knows what's coming in next, right? Let's be honest. And delivers life-saving care in a roll 2, but he was using roll 1 skills, folks. That roll 1 care that the medics and the corpsmen deliver will be the single greatest and is the single greatest improver of battlefield survivability. That was true yesterday. That was true back in December. It'll be true tomorrow. And people like HM1 are the reason that survivability will be so good. Thanks to his family who's here, his mom Cheryl, girlfriend Stephanie, his two kids in Colorado, and I know they mean a lot to him. But I want to take the time to introduce and congratulate HM1 Joe Hardebeck.
Good morning, everyone. I came prepared with some words because I get nervous. So good morning, Admirals, Generals, Senior Enlisted, esteemed officials, the Armed Services, YMCA, its sponsors, family, and friends. Let me first start by saying thank you for this honor. Being selected for this prestigious award is something I know all of us are grateful for. What an honor to be added to those who have come before us, and what a moment to reflect as we look to the future in our personal and professional lives. I also want to thank Commander Hoffman and CMC Elias, who are here representing my command. My CO, XO, and CMC and Commander in the Pacific for an exercise. So thank you, gentlemen, for being here. Lastly, thank you to my girlfriend and my wonderful mother coming from Indiana to be here with me. In almost 18 years of service, I've come to learn that the real sacrifice falls on the support network of us in uniform. It is our families and friends who keep us going, and the ones that take the biggest and deepest hit each time we go out into the world. Wearing the cloth of this nation in support of its mission and objectives set forth by our leaders in support of our great country. Most people who know me more closely know that I can definitely carry dialogue for an extended period of time. Or in other words, I talk a lot. But I promise today, I'll keep it pretty short. I stand before you, selected as the Navy's Angel of the Battlefield for my actions during an event on my most recent deployment to Iraq. Being my third combat deployment in my career, I can say that each one has had their own unique impact on me and experiences. In my view, my participation in the events in Iraq are no different from what any other medical professional would have done in my position. Doing what is necessary to ensure our patients are taken care of as quickly and as efficiently as possible, and to get them to the highest levels of care. I take immense pride in my actions and the lives that I've been able to affect so far in my career. But one thing I have to say with absolute conviction, individual actions can create opportunity, but it's the entire team that finds success. Even now, as I reflect back on the events of Christmas Day, 2023 in Iraq, I appreciate the cohesion of our team and the combined efforts in the collection, treatment, and evacuation of our patient that day. Being bedside when events unfolded, I know we all had a key part to play in his treatment. And I say with a great deal of thankfulness that I am in contact with the family of that patient, and he is doing incredibly well and continues to improve. It is not often that in combat or trauma or emergency medicine that we get that follow-up with our patients, and that we get a peek into the other side of patient care, the recovery side. Being able to make that contact and relay that to my team, I cannot even begin to express the feeling of completion that brings, that full circle moment, if you will. I believe that being able to see a patient recover in any capacity is the true pinnacle of care. I wish continued success for the patient from my scenario, and also for all those affected in the events that got each of us selectees here today. Unfortunately, the fact remains that it was a person or persons' worst day for us to be recognized here. And I think it's vitally important to recognize that and be overly appreciative and compassionate to the recovery some of these patients, their caregivers, and their families may still be in. In closing, I would like to highlight the importance of action. An incredible amount of what we do in medicine is about decision-making and the action that follows. Every act of bravery, every courageous stand in the face of adversity first starts with a decision to act. From my perspective, indecision can be the indecision can be the enemy of opportunity and growth. I, unfortunately, have had a multitude of opportunities to act in a time of need, and have very fortunately been able to use my training and act accordingly to stand in the way of death's door. I am filled with absolute confidence that the selectees here today all chose to act in the moments we have been selected for, and they will continue to do so as they move through their careers and lives. Congratulations once again to all of you, all of my fellow angels of the battlefield. Thank you again to Armed Services YMCA for the opportunity to stand here, and thank you for everyone who took part in this selection process. And again, thank you everyone for being here.
Thank you very much, Admiral Hawkins, for being here, and congratulations, Pastor Hardebeck, and thank you for those very significant words. Moving to the United States Air Force, here to present the Air Force Angel of the Battlefield Award, we are joined by Brigadier General Jason Lennon, the Director of Policy and Resources, Office of the Surgeon General, Headquarters, United States Air Force.
Thank you. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. General Brown, thanks for hosting, and Armed Services YMCA, thanks for putting on this great event. Thanks to each of the nominees and award recipients this morning for not only what you did on these particular events, but who you are as individuals. Because I have so much admiration and respect for each of the services, I'm rooting for a tie in the football game this year. So I have the honor this morning to introduce you all to Staff Sergeant Devin Jordan. Sergeant Jordan is an independent duty medical technician, IDMT, which is a highly capable Air Force medic that really we call the Jackson Jills of all trades. They're not only independent medical providers, but they serve as a pharmacy, a laboratory, a public health department, bioenvironmental engineering, dental, and a number of other things. So really highly capable, highly trained airmen. She's assigned to the 606th Air Control Squadron, which is a unit in Italy that provides tactical air combat, air command and control in the deployed environment, austere environments around USAFE and AFRICOM. In the deployed environment, none of us would be surprised at what Sergeant Jordan did on 22 October 2022. She would have simply been doing her job, although it would have been equally heroic if she did that in a deployed environment. On this occasion, however, she wasn't in a combat zone. She wasn't deployed. She wasn't even awake. So at about 4 o'clock in the morning, while sleeping, she heard a pretty severe motor vehicle accident crash outside of her apartment. And she could have slept through it. She could have just cast it off as a dream. She could have acknowledged it, stayed in the warmth and comfort of her bed and assumed somebody else would take care of it. She could have simply called EMS and been satisfied that she helped somebody out, but she didn't. She actually jumped out of bed, immediately took action without hesitation, like it was second nature, performed rapid assessment, got to the scene. This car had hit a couple of trees and a couple of light posts along the way. It was in pretty bad condition. She immediately identified 3 injured personnel, 2 of which were trying to pull the third one out of the vehicle. She immediately directed them to stop. She saw by the accident that there was a pretty significant risk of severe spinal injury, and when she assessed the patient, she confirmed that. She directed those members to refrain from doing so. She identified and stabilized a C-spine injury, and then she moved to treat the other 2 patients who also had injuries, all while continuously monitoring 3 patients and communicating vital signs and important information to her fiancé, who was communicating to the Italian EMS and medevac to get on scene and take care of these patients. Ultimately, she saved a life, and she certainly prevented a lifelong debilitating injury of the one member. She did that as a result of her training, her instincts, and taking action. She chose to do the right thing when nobody was looking. She chose to put the well-being of others ahead of her own comfort. She chose to act, demonstrating the utmost leadership, competence, and character in doing so. It sounds a lot like our Air Force core values of integrity first, service before self, and excellence in all we do. Sergeant Jordan didn't choose to be a hero on that day, but she chose her actions, and we're glad her leadership and the Armed Services YMCA have recognized her heroism. She's absolutely deserving of the Angel of the Battlefield Award. I know Mom is here and equally proud of her. Chief Robbins and I, on behalf of our Air Force Surgeon General, Lieutenant General DeGoes, and our Chief of Medical Enlisted Force, Chief Master Sergeant Woods, are honored to recognize and thank Staff Sergeant Jordan for her actions. Thank you.
Good morning. I am equally as nervous, so bear with me. Firstly, I want to say thank you to the Armed Services YMCA for giving me this wonderful award. It means so much to me. I'm sincerely grateful and honored to receive this award. I want to extend my heartfelt gratitude to the 3 individuals from the incident who made this possible. I'm a wee bit nervous. Give me a second. My voice is shaking. I know it's shaking. I'm an instructor and I know better. Thank you for entrusting me with your medical care. I wouldn't be standing here without their belief in my purpose, which is 100% to help others. I also want to thank my parents who raised me to be the woman I am today and instilled in me the gift of compassion, which I strive to bring into my work as an IDMT. It's especially meaningful to have my mother here today after 2.5 years apart. I have not seen my mom in 2.5 years. I've been TDY and deployed a lot. Additionally, I'm grateful to the military for providing me with the knowledge and expertise necessary to perform at my best during critical times, as well as navigating challenging situations effectively. Finally, a special thanks to my significant other who is watching via video right now, John Batiste, who has supported me during the incident and assisted with translation for higher echelon of care. Your endless support means the absolute world to me, and I wish you could be here with me right now. Thank you all for this incredible honor.
Well, congratulations, Sergeant Jordan, on your award, and thank you again to General Lennon. Our next award goes to a United States Coast Guardsman. To share more about this honoree story and present the Coast Guard Angel of the Battlefield, I'd like to welcome Rear Admiral Shane Steiner, the Executive Director, Health Services for the United States Coast Guard.
Right. Morning, everyone. General Brown, Admiral French, Admiral Williams, my other fellow flag and general officers, retired reserve and active duty, senior enlisted advisors, guests, friends, and family who are here to honor these angels of the battlefield. And most importantly, those of you who are being recognized with this award today. I'm representing today Rear Admiral Paul Jung, the Chief Medical Officer of the Coast Guard, who's not able to join us. I know he shares my admiration for the achievements of these brave, highly competent servicemen and women, and I can say it is an extreme privilege to be here today to recognize achievements such as these. I also want to take this opportunity to pass on the Coast Guard's gratitude to the Armed Services YMCA for their commitment for over 162 years to supporting and recognizing the junior enlisted personnel of our armed forces and their families. So the motto of the U.S. Coast Guard is Semper Paratus, always ready. And on the night of January 9th, 2024, Aviation Survival Technician Second Class Aaron Mulkey's actions exemplified that motto. His conduct also epitomized the Coast Guard's core values of honor, respect, and devotion to duty. Well aware that the waters of the Pacific Ocean off the coast of Sitka, Alaska, are rarely above 43 degrees Fahrenheit in January, AST-2 Mulkey knew that he had to act quickly when his team got the call to rescue 3 persons from a capsized catamaran. To set the stage, know that in 43-degree waters, for an unprotected swimmer, hypothermia can begin in as few as 9 minutes, with incapacitation likely in 30. Upon arrival to the scene, AST-2 Mulkey noted not only that it was dark, with freezing air temperatures, but that the sea state was, let's say, sea state 6, with waves approaching 15 feet in height. So let me sum up there. We got Alaska, January, dark of night, 43-degree waters, sea state 6. Just setting the scene there for y'all a little bit, okay? But he was undaunted. With consummate skill, he descended into the roiling water, rapidly sized up the situation, triaged which survivor's situation was most desperate, and realizing that the survivor was too seriously injured for a conventional rescue basket hoist, pulled the survivor to the capsized catamaran's hull, where he executed a sling recovery. Once he had the first survivor aboard the rescue helicopter, he descended 2 more times into the frigid, dark, stormy sea and rescued the remaining survivors. It's me a little bit. AST2 Mulkey put the needs of those survivors ahead of his own, risking his life to help them. Additionally, he exemplified the ability to adapt in a changing and challenging operational environment by changing his plan from using a rescue basket to using a sling and employing the catamaran's capsized hull for emergency stabilization. I want you all to know that the Aviation Survival Technician rating is one of the most rigorous in the Coast Guard, with an average 73% attrition rate over the course of the A School at Aviation Technical Training Center, Elizabeth City. Even after completing the 24-week AST course, newly graduated ASTs must then complete Emergency Medical Technician B School training at Training Center Petaluma, and then undergo grueling qualification and upgrade training at their first permanent duty station. In light of AST2's Mulkey's selfless service, it is safe to say that he has demonstrated that the faith that his instructors placed in him was well-deserved, and that he has carried on the honored tradition of the ASTs who have gone before him. AST2 Mulkey, a hearty congratulations to you. Present those for you here. This is Michael, and on behalf of Admiral Jones.
Well, I actually found out I was speaking today. I didn't even know I was. So short and sweet. My career as a Coast Guard rescue swimmer actually started working at the YMCA in Phoenix, Arizona as a lifeguard. And my boss was like, go be a rescue swimmer. You're way too good for this. So I did. Anyway, thanks for my mom and dad for showing up. I want to thank the Lord for giving me the ability to have the strength and willingness to jump into these waters and save these people. Thank you, guys.
Well, congratulations, Pastor Mulkey, and thank you again to Admiral Steiner. The final honoree this year represents a category added to the Angels Awards just 2 years ago and goes to a member of the Defense Health Agency's civilian medical personnel. To share more about this civilian honoree, I'd like to introduce Brigadier General Deidre Tahan, the Director of Defense Health Network National Capital Region and the Chief of the U.S. Army Medical Special Corps.
You know, I was thinking last but not least does not even start to suffice for today's ceremony when you think of all the folks that have been honored here today. So good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm really honored to be here today to represent Lieutenant General Crossland, the Director of the Defense Health Agency. And I also want to extend my warm thanks to the Armed Services YMCA for hosting this ceremony to recognize the heroes of military medicine every year. And recognizing the civilian workforce who support that. As many of you might not know, there's 140,000 people that support the military medicine around the globe, and 60,000 of those, or 40%, are civilians. And so we're really appreciative of this new category. And what you'll hear, I think the trend across all the folks that have been recognized today is that all these folks didn't set out that day to be a hero. They all had amazing training. And when the opportunity was available to them to step up and act, they didn't shy away from it. And that is no different than our civilian angel of the battlefield today, which has had a lifelong service of public support to folks here in the DC area. So I'm really honored today to speak of our civilian angel this year, Miss Karina Smith, a health technician who currently works at Walter Reed National Military Medical Center. I think you might have heard of that place before, who I and Captain Austin have the ability to oversee and have the honor to do that every day. Karina embodies selfless service that you will find throughout the civilian workforce that's here to support your medical needs. For over 2 decades, Karina has been serving the public as a healthcare professional. She came to us from Brazil and then became a young mother that entered public service fueled by a love for her adopted country, her love for people, and in a belief in accessible quality care for those in our country. She first worked for the Red Cross, where she organized life-saving blood drives throughout the DC metro area and saved countless lives through those blood drives. In May of this year, Karina was working at the Armed Services Blood Program drive at Fort George G, Maryland. Fort George G, Maryland. A military spouse. I just want you to remember, you go into a blood drive, you're thinking this is a very low risk situation, right? Very low risk. You're wanting to save others. And she goes into, a military spouse comes in to donate blood. After she finished donating her blood, you kind of sit there and eat the cookies and the juice, right? And it's supposed to be just kind of a little bit of time. There's a science behind why you have to wait. And in this day, that patient actually became unresponsive. She had lost her consciousness for over 60 seconds. Karina, who is well-trained, jumped into action, recognized immediately that she was without pulse and not breathing. She directed the team to call EMS. She coordinated the care in that case, had the corpsmen start springing into action, and they started life support. And after a round of 7 chest compressions, the donor finally regained consciousness. And I want you to realize that that family is whole because of the actions of Karina that day, and recognizing when you're supposed to be over there eating your cookies and drinking your juice, that something went wrong. And I really want to make sure you realize how hard that is to, when you're kind of overseeing a whole blood drive, and you know the overall risk is low in those situations, to be able to be that observant and that on top of your game to act so quickly. Because if she wouldn't have acted as quickly as it did, the results could be very different. Everyone in this room knows that there are many ways to serve your country. And Karina, we are so thankful that your dedication, your humanity, and your public service is to support those in our military. With this singular incident of saving the life of an individual in crisis is both memorable and important. We are fortunate to have you on our team each and every day. Thank you for the dedication to our nation. I'm deeply honored and privileged to present the 2024 Civilian Angel of the Battlefield to Miss Karina Smith.
Just bear with me for a minute. I'm as well nervous and didn't know I had to say anything till a little bit earlier this morning. Okay. Dear Angels of Battlefield, I am truly honored to receive this recognition for saving a life while working with the Armed Services Blood Program. Your acknowledgement inspires me to continue my efforts in serving others, and I am grateful for the vital work you all do. I also like to express my heartfelt thanks to my family for their unwavering support. Your presence made this moment even more meaningful. Thank you all for your encouragement and for the incredible impact you make in our communities. And I'd also like to thank the Armed Services YMCA and the DHA. Okay.
Thank you very much, General Tahan, and congratulations to Ms. Smith. As we close today's event, it's important that we also recognize and thank the honorees' loved ones who are with us here in person, and also those that are tuning in via live stream. So let's give our honorees one more round of applause. Thank you again to American Airlines and all of today's event sponsors for making today's event possible. This concludes the 18th Annual Angels of the Battlefield Award press event and ceremony, and we invite you to join us for a reception next door. Thank you.